Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is First Drive and I'm Hans Morris. Today we're going to be filming a review on my 1987 BMW 325e, which is right here. But first we got to go to the location and meet up with some of my buddies. And yeah, so then we're going to get on our way. This is a cold startup on the 1987 BMW 325e. Hello everyone and welcome back. So today I want to talk about why the BMW e30 platform is the perfect car for the young motoring enthusiast. So this is what I've learned to drive stick on. It's what I've learned to drive in. It's really everything I've learned to do in a car has been this thing. So I've had it for probably like 2.5 years now, but before that it was my dad's, and he made it as nice as it is now because he has his BMW shop, Schneller BMW. So I feel like a lot of young kids, when they're first getting into cars and they're first getting their license, want something fast or fun, good handling, and like a lot of the cars they look at are something like maybe a BRZ or a Focus or a Fiesta, or maybe even a Miata. Something low powered but rear wheel drive, right? Something their parents would not quite be opposed to. So I want to tell you guys why this car is the best option. So those cars are all pretty mass produced. This car is much like boxier, it's much older than those cars, but it is, in my opinion, quite a bit better looking. Wherever I go, it turns heads, and people ask about it, they ask what it is, they ask all kinds of questions about it. And I think on this side of a sports car, I think you can't really get much more with looks, because it's old, but it still has those beautiful kind of like boxy lines when you see the car from really any angle. And I think the looks compared to the Miata or the BRZ or something like that, they're just much better. They're much rarer, and they're kind of something that's being lost as time goes on. It's always turning heads because people just don't really see these things that often, and it's, for what it is, it does turn quite a bit of heads, and it is pretty cool to look at. So the second thing I want to talk about is the rarity. Nice ones of these things are kind of hard to come by these days, and with that said, if you got something like a Miata or a BRZ, everyone's kind of seen those things. It's kind of, how do I say it, commonplace to see a Miata or a BRZ or something like that. What you're not going to see everywhere is an E30, and that rarity kind of helps you, like, honestly, like, feel better about your car. Like you think you have something special, you know. It's not just another Ford or another Toyota or another Scion or another Mazda. You're driving a BMW. What I think is so cool about the rarity is not that the people come up to me and ask about it and tell me how cool it is, but it's the fact that I'm literally driving around a piece of BMW history. And BMW would not be where they are today with all their M cars if it wasn't for the E30 chassis. It is really like the founding car that enabled them to mass produce all of their sports cars that they make today. And I think it's really cool to be able to drive around something that kind of represents the history of BMW. So the third thing I want to talk about is the sound. So when you're driving around in a Miata something of that nature, you are driving around in a 4-cylinder car. And sure, 4 cylinders are fine, but in an E30 you're going to be able to get a 6-cylinder variant, which will sound much better. You're driving around in a car that costs less or the same as those other cars, but you're getting a 6-cylinder. And the noise out of a 6-cylinder, a straight 6 for that matter, is, in my opinion, much better and much more exotic and much more classy sounding. You don't get that tin can rattly sound like you get out of a Miata. You don't get the boxer rumble like you get out of a BRZ, and sure, you don't get like the turbo sound you might get out of like a Fiesta or a Focus or something, but the inline 6 sound is something that is kind of being lost these days. Like, there's not many straight 6s that are being mass produced in modern day that sound anything like they did back when this thing was made, and I think that's a huge plus to this car. Like, the sound is just fantastic. What I want to talk about next is the modifications you can do to this car. Like the BRZ and like the Miata, there's a huge modification community. There's lots of forums, there's lots of people who know stuff about these cars that can help you with modifications, and then there's also a lot of aftermarket parts manufacturers that produce parts for these things. Like, you can get wheels, exhausts, body kits, bumpers, spoilers, engine modifications, all sorts of stuff. So if you're looking to modify your E30 when you get it, there's a huge community that can help you do that. And then even further down the road, if you want to maybe engine swap the car, put an S52 in it, for instance. Those engines are from, as many of you might know, the E36 M3. And it's a very widely done engine swap. So you're going to have a lot of people that can either A, do it for you, or B, help you with the process. And once you get older and you have more money and you want to keep the car and maybe make it faster, I think it's a fantastic upgrade to do to the car, because it literally doubles your horsepower. By putting another BMW engine in it, you're doubling the power, you're making it far faster, more fun to drive, but you're still keeping it a BMW at its roots. So you can still tell people, I have a BMW. And I think it's really cool that you can do that while maintaining the full BMW branding, if you want to put it that way. And so the modifications are really big as far as how far you want to go with them. So the next thing I want to talk about is the handling of the car. The handling of the car is fantastic. It really feels like a go-kart. It's a really small car, which has its ups and downs, which means it might not be as safe, but it will help you become a much better driver than it would maybe some newer car, because it's so small and it's so light and it's so analog that you can really get to know the car better, because it's just you and the car. It has ABS, no traction control, no stability control, but with a car with such low power, it doesn't really matter. It just helps you get a lot better at driving with it just being you in the car. You're also going to want gas mileage as a young motoring enthusiast. So what I have to say about that is this thing gets honestly pretty darn good gas mileage. But I do have the 325e variant, which stands for more economic E30. It has a higher displacement engine with low torque and lower revs. But I can get 27 miles to the gallon cruising around town, which is really pretty good in an old car like this, and it's frankly a lot better than most performance cars today. On the highway, it's a little bit different story. Get a little worse gas mileage, but still, it's averaging 25 miles per gallon combined is really not that bad, especially if you don't have to drive on the highway that much. So you're really getting a decent entry-level performance car with decent gas mileage. So the next thing I want to talk about is power. In my car, it's very low. It's 127 horsepower, and I'm sure a lot of it has been lost over the years. But in the E, it does have quite a bit of torque, and that torque is really fun around town. You never really need to have the 300, 400, 500 horsepower around town. I can row through the gears all the way up to 4th gear and still be going the speed limit, whereas in anything with more than 200 or 250, 300 horsepower, you're breaking the speed limit before you even hit the end of 2nd gear. So I get to rev this thing out when I want to, and I have the fun low-end torque and the zippiness, even though I don't have that much power. So really, in a daily driving situation, this car is all you need, and it's definitely no more than you need, but it's definitely no less than you need. It's just very fun and zippy car to drive around town. And so the last thing I want to talk about is the maintenance. The maintenance on these things has the potential to be a little bit expensive, but with my car, it is from the West Coast. It has a very nice frame, no rust, so it's really good in that department. And the engine has around 70,000 miles, and the chassis has over 200. So with that said, it should show some wear here and there, and it does not. It has had a diff that has gone. That is the biggest part, the biggest fix that I've had to do. And then besides that, it's just been putting oil in the car. And what else? Oh, I had to fix a headlight one time. That is it. So over the 2 years that I've driven the car, and then the 3 years probably before that my dad's driven the car, there really has not been much maintenance to do at all. And that is huge for a young motoring enthusiast, because you don't have that much money. You're in school, all that stuff, and you really need to save every little bit possible. And with the low costs, it really helps you stay on track in life, but you still get to drive a fun car every day. So with that said, those are the reasons that I think that the E30 BMW platform is such a good car for the young performance car enthusiast. Thanks for watching, everyone. Once again, I'm Hans Morris. It's Jack and Craven, and this is my friend Duncan Haywood. If you like this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe and comment and all that jazz. So we're going to hope to see you next time. Thank you very much.